Okay.
Okay, so just checking in on the map design. A lot of the work that we've been doing is kind of divide and conquer. Spencer's unfortunately not here today, but I've been doing a lot of the designing of the map. He's been doing a lot of the gameplay logistics. A lot of things that we're working on is the flow of the game too, like the speed of how you interact with other players and stuff like that. And then kind of the story of the map, because it seems like all great maps kind of have some small story behind them. So just to get a kind of a look at what's going on here. This is just a topical view of what's going on. So these tree lines here, I figured would kind of be the spawns, because you could kind of drop in, and if you see over here, they're kind of harder to see through, so you can't really get like spawn peaked or whatever. We have these two beach lines here, one with a little more like debris or whatever you want to call it, more cover, so you can kind of fight on this side if you want. This one's a little more open, so it's kind of like a riskier route. And then we have this middle piece right here where it's kind of like just like this lake area. We were going to do a waterfall, but couldn't really get any of the assets to kind of flow off of this. And then over here, we kind of have like this sniper tower here. We didn't want it to be like just one, so that it was like more of like a unfair advantage point. So there's one over here as well. Scroll down, you can kind of see a little bit more, but so that you have kind of both sight lines there if you wanted. So scrolling down, we were gonna do like a villa style house over here, kind of like on like a private island or whatever, but with the free assets, there really wasn't any kind of like villa style houses. So we went with like a stone mason house, I believe it was called, which was kind of close enough to the design that I wanted. Then over here, this is kind of right behind the house, put some barrels in here for cover and whatnot. And then like this rock and stuff over here, there's different like templates where the terrain is kind of creating like a jagged edge on the map. So just placing like these smaller rocks and stuff to kind of cover up some of those edges, make it more of like a freeform map. And then, let's see, just one more picture here. So we're kind of making it like, kind of the story behind the map I was thinking was like, it's like this private island where they have kind of like discovered, I don't know if you saw back here, but like you can kind of see on the beach line, like there's some bones right here, and then in the middle, it's very small, but you can kind of like see some bones over here and stuff. So I kind of figured like the story I was implementing as I was creating it was like this private island where some military force had kind of discovered that there was like artifacts or like different kind of like fossils or stuff that were very valuable, that they were kind of like all converging in and trying to take over this island so that they can kind of like harvest or mine these different artifacts and whatnot. So in terms of what's next, we're kind of just like putting on patches, I would call them, to like the map, kind of implementing like small little things that just kind of make the map stand out a little bit more, talking about those edges and just like giving the map more of a feel than just like this open island terrain. So we're going with that, and then implementing the gameplay that Spencer is kind of creating into the map to get a feel of like how the whole map flows and the gameplay flows and everything, and then making adjustments to the map based off of that gameplay. And that's gonna be all next week, so. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You guys have any questions or comments based on what we're gonna be looking at?
I like the thought that you put into it, like with the storyline and all that, because I feel like that's something, like that's one of my favorite parts of like gameplay, is even if it is just like a first person shooter or something that doesn't like strive off storyline, like that there still is.
Yeah.
Like I like that you had the bones and such, and I feel like it's going in like a really good direction. Like it looks really good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just remember like some of the earlier Call of Duty games I was playing, like a lot of their multiplayer maps were based off of the campaign, which is like a whole story of itself. So you could kind of like, when I was playing multiplayer, take me back to like the stories of like where I was within the campaign of that map. So that was kind of cool.
You remember when you took new media that previous year we did virtual cinematography?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would encourage you to start to capture some even still shots, right? And get a narration going for like a cinematic, like almost like a commercial for the project.
Yeah, sure.
As the story's evolving, the cinematic can evolve too, but
Okay.
you can Did you have something to add to that?
Well, I was gonna bounce off of that and say like, what is it called? Like a trailer, kind of how they do that for games.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that, where you're just kind of like panning through. I feel like that'd be really cool.
Yeah, no doubt. And there was, I was looking up how to screen grab. I couldn't figure it out before I presented, but there was like a recording factor within Unity, so that'd be pretty easy to do as well.
There is. Well, on the Macs, you can use QuickTime, and then in the PC, there's a game bar that has clipping.
Okay.
What's the quick key for that? Do you know? Like, is it
Oh, it's like-
Windows G or something?
Yeah, I thought it was like Windows like F12 or something to bring up the. Are you talking about the
Yeah.
GeForce
Yeah.
thing?
Big-
Yeah, I think it's like something. It's Googleable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
just
Just when I
do-
googled the screen grab, it was saying like you said like Windows F10 or something like
Yeah.
that. So I'll just check it out next week.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that the last time you presented, we were talking, and I brought up that like purpose of placement of like objects and cover.
Yeah.
And I saw that on the left-hand side, I think it was the left beach side, where like things were being obviously placed to control the flow of that gameplay.
Yeah.
So that's cool to see that it's not just like open, like there's intention there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's making it a lot easier, like with all of the kind of experience. I am a gamer, so like I play video games a lot, and just kind of that experience of like things that would annoy me as I was like running through lanes and stuff. So it's kind of giving me that like vision of where I put things.
And have you thought about your sound for this project?
Sound like in terms of like the audio of the
Yeah, I don't think I showed you guys how to do sound. It's very simple to add sound, like an ambient sound to the
Okay.
whole piece, or to add sound players to specific objects. You can
Yeah.
just make the sound a child of the object, and you can adjust the proximity, so when somebody comes near an object, you can have some sound come out
that's
of it.
awesome. I didn't even know about that, so I'll definitely have to implement
Yeah,
that.
we can do it. Well, I'll do a demo on that, and I'll remind everybody how to do the ambient sound player. We did that last semester.
Okay,
So,
yeah, that's perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome.
Awesome, appreciate you guys.
So you'll have to check the sound, see if
Yeah.
it plays.
It didn't, but. let me see.
So turn the volume up on the controller. Are you maxed?
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Okay.
So, last time we presented, we kind of said that we were aiming towards kind of like more of a video essay, and so we made kind of like a very rough introduction to the video essay. There's like a lot of things that I definitely want to kind of implement into it that I wasn't able to, like in the span of making this demo. Like for the intro, all I used was stuff that we kind of worked with, like some runway footage and stuff like that, but I want to maybe get like footage like just for the intro, like runway, instead of it being like a collage of stuff. So that's just what it is right now. And then I also put my voice into a program that we're gonna touch on in the video called Play HT, and I made it like kind of talk for me. So like that's what you're gonna hear, and it doesn't sound amazing. I need to like definitely mess around with it.
You
'cause
can
every time I
definitely
do-
tell it's AI.
You definitely can, but every time you regenerate on Play HT, it gives you something different. So I feel like if I just kind of play with that a little bit and like the settings, it might work. But this is what we got so far, and I just wanted to put something together to get feedback, honestly, and to show what direction we're kind of going into. So yeah, that's what this is. It's very short, but this is what we got kind of working with right now.
Artificial intelligence, the newest form of technology that has taken the world by storm. Everything that you see and hear within this video is mostly created with AI. Me, Avery Marshall, and my partner, Ollie Masterson, created this video to spread awareness and share our own experiences with AI programs. This video is mainly to help people understand that artificial intelligence isn't scary and is actually a helpful tool that can make our lives easier.
So just like a little snippet of what we're kind of trying to get towards. Yeah, in our direction. Yeah. Just kinda want some
So let's
personality.
let's just roll it one more time, just so we can, yeah, because I think you guys have some comments. about this.
Artificial intelligence, the newest form of technology that has taken the world by storm. Everything that you see and hear within this video is mostly created with AI. Me, Avery Marshall, and my partner, Ollie Masterson, created this video to spread awareness and share our own experiences with AI programs. This video is made to help people understand that artificial intelligence isn't scary and is actually a helpful tool that can make our lives easier.
Thank you. All right, so, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot actually, and I think it would be cool. Like, I mean, being a senior, all of us have sat through classes where we hear video essays, and that didn't sound that far off from like a video essay. I mean, just the monotone,
I know,
talking at the
exactly.
same level. Like
I
we've
just
all
wanted
put
to,
out.
like,
Yeah.
capture you a little bit more.
Yeah, we've all put out something like that
For sure.
at one time or another. So it doesn't, like, from a student point of view, it doesn't stand out as much, you know? And I think that would add a ton of shock value if instead of like saying like everything in this, including my voice, is AI. I think if you save that to the end, that would also add a big impact because just watching the visuals, like, internally you're just you're just capturing what the person is saying, but you're not really paying attention to like how they're saying it as much as you're just like taking in the visuals and then listing what that person is saying. So like having that at the end being like, this entire time I didn't say a single word of this was all artificially generated, I think would add an even bigger like, oh my god, like like that would really hit home as well because you feel like you're connecting with the person that you're listening to. And then when you find out at the end it was just a script that somebody wrote and generated, that I think would add a big, like, that'd be the big period or the punch right at the end. So yeah, if you could not clean it up, but yeah, if you could get like the audio to maybe have a little more inflection or something like that.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, that would be really cool.
I agree with that for sure. I think that that's a really good idea, and I definitely want to do that. I thought, like, when I was making this, I did think that, like, coming off and saying that up front and then being like, it's not scary, was kind of contradicting because it's kind of scary. So I think, like, that would be a really good way to kind of ease into it a little bit more, and so that it isn't so like, oh gosh, like now I'm scared.
Yeah.
And with the software we're using for the voice generating, I feel like we could upload better clips of our voice. Like the first time I did it, it didn't even like sound like me.
Yeah.
So just doing it again, maybe like even the longer clips would probably help that issue too. At least we're hoping.
I think the screen grabs of you guys actually typing stuff into the software was pretty big. I just think like it draws me in a little bit more when I see like something being spit out of what you guys are saying back. And if you are taking that stance of like pro AI for this essay, I think it's good if you guys like take maybe like the top 3 things that like people are scared of AI for a reason and kind of like combat that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely, because I know a lot of, like, when you first did your pitch deck, that's what yours is mostly about, is like kind of helping people feel better about it, and that's what we've done a bit of research on as well. So I think having a segment with that and then having segments with like the programs that we're using, like we wanted to do, would be kind of a strong way to do that.
Yeah.
Did you, for the audio, did you record just like right off your phone?
Yeah.
Like
Like a
voice memo? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see like if you actually got one of the audio recording studios and like had, you know, zero noise in the background and had like perfectly leveled audio,
Yeah.
how it would generate it then. Because I think right now having that graininess of like just your iPhone's voice memos, either it might sound better if you have like better crisp, you know, quality audio, or it might not, because you might be able to hear those like AI generated transitions, whereas like right now you can't really tell because of that graininess in the audio. So it would be interesting to see like how that generates and what that outputs depending on like the different quality of audio you have in the original recording.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
No, I definitely agree with that. That's something we could try to do. And I also wanted to just redo mine anyways, because I feel like the way I was talking in mine was a little more like like I don't know. I feel like I wasn't talking like as straight up as I could have been, and that's why like there's a lot of like higher like where it goes higher pitched at the end or something, or like there's like it's breathy. So I feel like that would be a good way to maybe combat that. I don't know if it would, obviously, like you said, but we can try it.
Experiment with it a little.
What are the top 3 things that people are afraid of?
I can't think of it off my head really.
Well, I mean,
but
like-
just like control, I feel like it's a big thing for people. People like having control just kind of makes them feel like they don't necessarily have that kind of control.
Mhm.
The creative aspect of it, stealing from other artists as well.
I think a big one's job security.
Yeah, that too. That's why I wanted to like kind of, when we talk about the programs, talk about ways that it could, like that we can collaborate with it instead of being like, oh look, ChatGPT, just do this. Be like, well, this is a better way to do it in a way. Like just like a more like collaborative view on some of these platforms.
It's just different. I wouldn't try to compare it because there's no comparison. It's just different. It's a different tool, right? That's why people I think are afraid too, is they're comparing it to human.
different,
It's
yeah.
not a human. Remember I showed you that machine that changed the world video with the ENIAC? One of the things the broadcaster did right away is referred to it as a being. Like, what does ENIAC think? Well, it's just a computer. Would you call a typewriter like a being, right? Or like a telephone?
A lot of things too have been around for so long that people just like don't really think about. Like the thing of like my voice, the way I was able to do that with my voice, that's been around for like so long. It's just now that AI is a thing, it's like more people are just starting to like dip their toes in water. Same with that Nintendo like VR thing
Yeah.
that came out in like the 90s or whatever.
Right.
It's just something that's been around. It's just getting a lot of traction, and that's something that's helped me like with like coming to a like
Thinking about it.
yeah, like thinking about AI and like coming to like maybe there's a way that we can, because I'm still not fully sold even though I'm doing all this, you know, it's still like new for me too. But I think by doing this, it's helped me kind of not have that fear of, you know, everything that everyone is afraid of when it comes to AI. And it's also just kind of fun once you like kind of get into it and kind of start experimenting with it. Especially on like obviously an unprofessional level. I'm sure on a professional level it's a lot more serious and a lot more scary and like, you know, that kind of stuff. But for this, at least, I'm kind of having a good time. So it's kind of like, it's just very interesting. It's interesting. It's scary. Like I hate hearing my own voice coming. I hate typing something and then it just being able to say that. Like it scares the crap out of me. But you know, it also is kind of fascinating in a way where it's like I was working on this at work during like my break time, and I had people like surrounding me, like being like, type this in, and then like, and some people were like going against the walls, like, I'm scared of this, like, it sounds just like you, and like all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I know, but then they'd be like, but it is cool, and I'm like, it is. So it's just like, it's bittersweet, it's weird, and I feel like it's the same, anyone who's against AI to like the fullest extent is probably one of those people that would have been against the internet to its fullest extent, so.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Spencer's not here, is he?
No, he's not. Do you need something?
I need someone.
Well, Jackson's the one to ask in terms of unity right now,
Oh,
but he
yeah?
needs to, yeah, and he's,
When are you guys done?
we're done at 5 for 4:50.
Okay.
Jackson, could you, at the end of class, would you mind consulting with
Hi.
Sarah on something?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
be back in, do you know where 1718 is?
I think so.
It's in the very back of
Okay,
the
yeah.
building. Kind of across, by the like TV screen and the iPads.
Okay.
There's like,
Yeah.
yeah, by that room. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where I get kind of lost. That's where I don't really
It should be
agree.
a tool.
Yeah, I feel like it should be like the internet was, or like the damn camera, where it's like
Right.
something crazy and weird, but it's not gonna fully take over, you know?
That's this thing that I was saying with the popcorn brain too, where people are not in themselves. You guys aren't in college is usually when people go to find themselves, right? It's like, who am I going to be? I'm becoming a child to an adult. Some of you are doing that, but some people are just kind of going through the motions. And that's the same thing with the AI. When people are just going through the motions, there's nothing there. They're empty.
I feel like I'm more scared of people using AI than AI itself.
Right.
Like I feel like it might get to the point of where it's too far gone, like everything else has, like social media and the internet and everything, to where we won't even have a say in trying to collaborate with it. But that's nothing to do with AI, you know, that's just the people, and if the people want to use it to steal people's art, and you know, like AI's not doing this itself, and I'm sure maybe it might be able to at one point, but if it does, that's a different conversation. So I don't know. I feel like right now it's tame. It's just what could happen. That's really scary to some.
That idea of people, and you might want to interview some people,
Yeah.
like people in this class or people, your friends, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just want some feedback on like a little snippet of like a little something. Show which direction we're going into.
Perry and Emma, do you guys have some comments or feedback or suggestions? Things that you'd like to see?
I guess like I kind of agree about the point with
You just say that before you
really trying to change the voice to sound like it's like talking really passionately about this.
Yeah.
With some of the points you were talking about just now, because I think that like dissonance kind of points out the toolness of it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, where it's a conveyance thing.
Because I don't want people to watch this and be like, oh, this is.
Right, the existence of the essay should point out like the human ingenuity that was required to assemble the essay, despite the fact that it is technically 100% produced with AI.
Yes, but being produced with AI, you know, it's just being produced by a human, just in a different way.
Right.
So that's definitely something we can touch on and make apparent. I agree with that.
Emma, I know you have lots of ideas.
I'm trying to word them in my head. Are you planning on using like the AI voice recorder for the whole thing?
I mean, most of it. If there's like stuff like this, if we want to put this into it, or like interviews, then probably not, just to kind of break it up and make it not so. Because I feel like if we do it, you know, the whole thing is the AI voice, it might like after a while be like, okay, wait, I feel like something's off.
Because it is really cool, but like I can see it getting monotonous.
I know, and I feel like it's a little boring. Because I tried with PlayHT, they have like emotions where you can do like happy or angry or whatever, but the happy one is like artificial intelligence. Like, I don't know, it's not what I want. So I feel like I could also maybe experiment with other ones. PlayHT is just the one that we like experiment with the most, and it's also free, like completely.
Some of the other ones were like expensive. So.
Exactly. So I'm sure I could pay some money and get like a good one, but that's also what we're trying to do, is kind of show availability to this stuff.
Yeah.
So using a free platform that has unlimited, you know, like users. Sure.
So I was talking with Seven last class about Claude and Poe. There's 3 tiers to this new Claude. It's supposed to be better than ChatGPT in terms of its relational quality and the way it spits back information. So that might be an interesting one for you to look into too.
Yeah, because we were using ChatGPT, and we might like touch on it because we used it for some of the prompts, but it wasn't like really. I don't know. It wasn't piquing my interest as much as like Runway and Firefly and such.
Try this Claude because it's supposed to be more like talking to like it emulates more of a human experience.
And anyone that has Windows, I don't know if you saw, but Windows just added like an AI thing. It just like
Bing.
popped up in the middle, in like the little corner of my screen, and I was like, what is this? and I clicked it, and it was like, ask me anything, but it's like stuff like, what should I do tonight? And it'll like show you like a image of like pizza and like wine. And then it's-
Did you screen cap that? I didn't see that in there.
No, I saw it like yesterday.
Oh, okay.
It must be like really new, unless it's not.
It's Copilot.
Copilot?
Yeah, this they just added. They added Copilot. I don't know what it is.
I know.
As soon as they downloaded it on my computer, I was like, why? I don't want this on my
I
computer.
know it didn't happen automatically.
I'm not gonna
too.
use this right now.
Like it didn't even ask you.
Yeah.
It was just it just
It just,
popped up.
yeah, no, when you updated it, just showed up one day, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I had this on my computer, whatever.
Yeah, and you also have to pay for like the full extent of it too, which I'm like I already paid for Windows and this laptop, but whatever. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on. I feel like something new happens every day.
It does, and that's the value of your project, is you're capturing it real time.
Yeah, so.
Good job. All right. Yay. Okay, so you guys want to go?
Yeah.
Okay. That was good. It was edited well. Yeah.
Yeah, I just it sounds like the collage.
Do I press use again?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we have recorded most of our shots. The only problem is that I think there is just confusion uploading to Google Drive because we can't currently view them in 360, but you said that
Yeah,
in the
so
Insta you can view it.
Drive doesn't seem to be able to contemplate that this is a 360 video, which makes sense. So it's just a matter of stitching them back together because they're on like two separate files for some reason. And so we've got that to do yet, which was unanticipated issues, but we have the actual footage that we're wanting to use.
That's good. And I'm going to suggest, there's that software that comes with the Insta360.
That's what we're trying to
Open
do.
it up in there and export as Equo Rectangular, which is going to take the two 180s and stitch them together for you in a long pano. That will be seamless.
So yeah, so that one was our TV, like our introduction of television. So we have some found footage of, you can't really see it from here.
It takes a minute for me to set it all up before I then
Yeah.
complete the shot. But yeah, we're trying to have a shot where the viewer is surrounded by all these different old TV shows while the narration about kind of the burgeoning era of television is placed over this. Originally, this shot was going to be a little more dynamic than this, but I ran into some limitations, and so we had to make do with what we could do. But most of the shots, well, actually every shot has this whole idea going behind it of like it's gonna have representation of different eras of media. Actually, if you want to go to the ones on the street.
And you get out of the frame, right?
I do, yeah, no,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, good.
In fact.
Unless you're a character.
Oh, great. I can use that.
Yeah.
This is my friends in New York. They,
Is this a good one?
I don't know.
There's multiple shots of it.
Yeah, so I mean, you only see half of it, unfortunately, because of the way things are going. And this is the bad take, I think. But,
Okay.
like, this is a shot that we're doing where, like, it's talking about the advent of social media content creators and stuff as like a new wave of media
Entertainment.
experience, and so we've got it.
And I do have the found footage in another Google Drive that we can look at.
Yeah. Okay, it's kind of difficult to see with how Drive is showing it to us, but like we've got a few people standing around the 360 camera kind of showing off these reels of
Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they'll be confronting the viewer. They'll kind of be
Yeah,
in the front.
basically.
Oh, that'll be interesting. We need to get that next week onto a headset and see what it looks like. 'Cause
Definitely.
this is another shot that I was doing. This one's a silent film.
There
Again,
is a TV in the
yeah, there is a
back.
TV on the other side, but it's unfortunately this whole.
Is that your family?
Great. That is my family in that shot. Because I again
Cute.
had to make do with what I could do.
Yeah, no, that's great that they are participating. I like that.
Yeah. So this one's about sound film, which there's a whole subsection of this timeline that's very interesting from a research perspective. Because like sound film is very similar to like most of these modern technology progressions that we're experiencing now culturally back then, with like people afraid of like their entire career not really mattering to where entertainment was going and stuff like that. So.
And then this is just the collection of the found footage. Just the silent film is just a Charlie Chaplin film, and then just like news programs, and there's like an episode of Lassie and like another sitcom for the Rise of Television one, and then this is a collection of just.
Yeah, this is one of the media reels that was on the phones.
Yeah, I tried to find like popular.
Heard it. I literally was like, oh, he's in this.
Channels.
We are on a mission to find the worst pumpkin spice latte, starting with Krispy Kreme donuts.
Hoping it's good or bad if you try these.
You know, that's a really good question. I think we just answer honestly.
Bring down a matching drink, Juge.
This man would come into existence and I could gift him these letters.
And then I forgot to upload the TikTok one, but this is the Instagram one. This one you really see like how they advertise like products in their videos too.
My hair flip once in a show and getting your next family vacation. We recently took our son on his first trip to
Mix it.
Oh my god! I keep getting tagged in this video.
But yeah.
So there's a lot of videos within videos going on for these 360 shots to kind of try to keep the viewer engaged in this 360 environment and seeing the media that we're talking about, obviously. So
That's really all we have right now. But
we got most of our material. We're just gonna start stitching stuff together.
Great, so we'll be able to start to experience it. And there's a lot of back and forth with the 360 process of testing and placement and things like that. So, questions for these guys or comments?
I think the comparison of old media to new media is a huge selling point for this video. It's really inspiring, to be honest. Super cool.
I especially really like the first shot you showed with all the like was it TVs or just screens?
Well,
or?
actually, I stole several laptops from my work.
Oh.
But
I thought you were just gonna say you stole laptops. That's what happened.
No, I was originally going to do a bunch of CRTs, but due to complications with how CRTs work, that wasn't going to be extremely conducive to time restrictions. So,
yeah.
but you know, yeah, it's just several laptops that are just kind of set going around the 360 camera.
Well, did you put it in black and white as well, or?
They're originally in black and white.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're all kind of from the era of like the beginning of television.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of like 50s and 60s shows mostly.
Yeah, I thought that was really strong, and I was kind of trying to imagine it with like a headset on, like how that would feel, and I feel like that would be really cool. I also just like the concept a lot. I feel like this is something that's like very apparent, and like I feel like you guys are touching on it really well. I feel like those reels and like the YouTube and the Cody Co and the two like really Christian girls podcasts, like it's just like such brain rot, like such like, but it's so real. Like I feel like it's like very well done so far.
Are you guys gonna, like, in the project, are you touching on like how kind of like the brain rot subject of like how people kind of just melt into their phones? And
not exactly, because our project is a lot more
just through the
in a
decades.
positive vein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys.
The idea behind our project is more about like the things that you think are the end of the world right now
Sure.
are the same things that every generation before you felt about literally every development that they
Right.
ever experienced.
Okay.
And like, so maybe it's not the end of the world, you know? And it is different, like things are going to change, but things have always changed. And like the things that you experience in your life right now, like would never exist if everyone was always afraid of change, you know? So that's not exactly going into the brain rot as much. I mean, it's not, I don't want it to be invisible to the scope of what we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Then I don't have a recommendation.
The viewer can come to their own conclusions.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
It raises a question.
Well, great. You guys are making tons of progress. Thank you so much. Let's give a round.
Thank you.
Where do I go to see the boards that are linked to this board?
The workspace.
Oh,
Yep, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't have much for my project actually to show just because it's been in development and reworking things to get my models into Unity. But I have a lot to talk about freelance work, and I thought that would be kind of fun to go over with you guys instead, just because there's a lot more to talk about, and I think it's definitely useful, especially since we're going to be graduating soon. There's a kind of high probability you might do some freelance work at some point. So right now, I do freelance work for a medical company that's looking to do like animations of the procedures that they do on patients. And so one of the big things I do is I model like the equipment they use. So like I've done all this in 3D and everything, and then modeling out the actual like body and the internal like systems that they operate in. The doctor that I work with, he just does the lower half of the vascular system, so the arteries, the veins, and everything that operates in there, and he works in clearing out like clogged arteries or blockages and things like that. And so that's the main like kind of scope of what I do for him. But one of the things that he just wanted is there's a procedure that they do there's a problem that some people, especially athletes, have when they have developed calf muscles. When they contract, like when you point your toe towards the floor and you feel your calf muscle flex, that can pinch off the artery that sits in the back of your leg and cause blood flow restriction. And it's something that not a lot of people know they have, but a fair amount of people have it at some point in their lives. And so they want to bring awareness to that. So they kind of tasked me with creating kind of like a simulation of that artery and what happens when that artery is pinched off. And so I just did a little screen report of like some of the work I was doing with the model that I made, and kind of just to give you guys a little feel for like a workflow. But I also wanted to talk about like what it's like to work with a client, because a lot of the time when you're working with someone that doesn't understand like the work that you do, or like the difficulty level, or like things that it pertains, it can get kind of confusing and pretty tough to communicate with them in a way that they understand the workflow. So like, here I'll fast forward. This is all like really like heady 3D stuff, but this is all like procedurally generated. So I don't know if anybody remembers, but this is like based off of curves instead of regular geometry. So all of this is being procedurally generated through geometry nodes, which is, it allows you to manipulate things in different ways. Instead of having to like actually manipulate geometry, you can just do it all through like sliders and keyframing, which is helpful. But let's see, I'll try to get to the point I'm showing. Yeah, okay, here, let's see. Yeah, okay, so right over here, these are like geometry nodes. So all of this mess is what is building this model and operating it. And so like right here, you can see that this little portion is pinching in like a circular fashion. So like kind of if you like had a tube and you pinched it from all directions, it closes as a circle. And that's initially what my client wanted. And then they sent me like a PT scan of the actual procedure, and it was actually kind of pancaking together instead of closing circularly. And so I had to go back and rework everything so that it closed in like that flat, like more of this, you can't see it great right here, but more of like a flat instead of a pinch circularly. And one of the funny thing about working with someone who doesn't know what you do, or like the work that it entails, is that was just like an offhand question. You were just like, oh yeah, and we'd like it to do this instead of that. And it's an easy ask. Like that's an easy thing to ask for, obviously, because if you can do it one way, it should be easy to do it a different way. But that little tweak ended up costing like 10 hours of like reworking things and trying to figure out how to make that actually work. So just kind of bring that idea to you, like if you ever do freelance work, make sure that the client you're working with understands like changing things. There's going to be like a different time commitment that comes with that. But it is very rewarding, especially if you're working by yourself, because you feel like you've done everything on your own, and it's kind of like your child in a way. But yeah, just so this is like a very simple. I'm not going to get into like the really detail-oriented things that are going on, but yeah, I wanted to make sure like that I showed you guys something to use. I think this is like a prettier version of like a render. This is definitely nowhere near complete, but it's heading in the right direction. But yeah, even just this, like this, to get to this point, to be able to like render something like this out is hours and hours and hours and hours of work. And so yeah, if you're doing freelancing work, definitely make sure that you're working in a way where you're communicating with your clientele, so they understand like little changes can mean big time differences. And yeah, and I wanted to like ask you guys if you had any questions about freelancing, because there's a lot we can talk about with that. I'll probably have some kind of, yeah.
So with freelance stuff, do you have like deadlines usually? Or is it a little bit more lenient with that?
Yeah, so with this guy, they are pretty lenient about deadlines just because like things are always changing. So that's a great thing to talk about with, like we talked about that initially. I asked like, when do you want this done? They were like, we have no idea. We're gonna throw a budget at it, and that's not even defined, but don't worry about it. And things will change along the way and we'll figure it out. So yeah, that's like, there's like pre-production to your project that you're gonna be working on, but then there's also a ton of pre-production just in the idea of like setting the ground rules of that project and getting like an understanding of, you know, what you can do within a certain amount of time. So yeah, that's a big thing too, is setting deadlines, but you also want to set deadlines for yourself as well. Because like if you give yourself like the leniency to just like, I'll get this done, like my guy that I work with is not great about responding. When he responds, it's like paragraphs upon paragraphs of like really helpful stuff. But that's like in like chunks of weeks at a time where I won't hear anything from him. But I know that there's things that I should be doing. And so setting those deadlines by yourself, for yourself, instead of like allowing them to set them for,
That's okay.
you weren't gonna see anything special anyways. Yeah, setting those deadlines for yourself will help you get a lot more progress than just waiting for your clientele to come along and be like, oh, you know, we want this thing now. Because you might have that done already if you had set those deadlines for yourself in the beginning, so yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, what's up?
How do you come across freelance jobs? Is it just like through networking?
Kind of working at the studio that I worked with Julie, like that is a big thing too. I think none of us, I mean, we see the work that's put out while we're in college, like it's good, but it's not professional level by any means. But the biggest way you can get work is just to like commit to something, and then through that, other things will pop up. Like when I joined the crew at Julie's at the studio, like I wasn't great at anything. I'm still not great at anything, but I worked long enough and built somewhat of a reputation enough to know that I was like capable of handling certain things and certain like projects. And so when the time came for someone to like ask for something, my name was in the conversation for things, you know, for someone that could do that. So that's another thing that, like, if you want to build clientele or you just want to get your name out there, definitely say yes to like the opportunities that are provided for you, because even though they might not be the perfect thing that you want right away, it could definitely lead to you like finding those opportunities a lot easier than just like tossing your resume at a wall until it sticks. So yeah, that's how I would say, like, get clientele is to just do as much as possible and just be around people as much as possible. But yeah, another great question. Yeah.
This is totally like a personal interest, kind of like not related necessarily to the project, but are you at liberty to say what medical company?
Yeah, you would not care. It's actually it's an LLC that the doctor that I work with owns. It's called Nagel Innovation.
Okay.
So he just kind of owns his own LLC that he funnels money into through his own practices and his own work, where he invests in different things. So like he'll invest in getting new like experimental equipment in his office and things like that, or just in his own private practice. Or he'll invest in getting animations, and for what they do is they put these out on LinkedIn for the other doctors that they work with that they want to like inform about the procedures that they do and like what they're working on. So yeah, just a small time thing, but it can lead to other things too. Like I'm in talks with working with Mary Freebed with a project. So I mean, Mary Freebed is the pediatric hospital in Grand Rapids. But yeah, I mean that's another thing. It can lead to lots of opportunities. So, yeah. Any other questions about freelancing? That's super fun.
Blowing my mind with this one, the quality of it.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, no, but just like in terms of like applying it to the architectural thing, like it makes me think of how good your project is going to be. When he like kind of approaches you with this thing, is it something like where you have the confidence to be like, okay, yeah, I can do this, or is it more like this is going to be challenging, but it's going to push my skill?
Pardon my French, but you have to bullshit your way into like they'll ask for something, and you're like, yeah, for sure, no problem. And then as soon as that call ends, you're like, oh my god, how do I do this?
Right.
And so then you spend that night making a plan of like figuring out how the hell am I even going to start to look at this?
Right.
And then you're on Stack Exchange looking at questions. And then that's a big thing for me too, is like there is so many people out there that have tons of free time to just help. Like if you have a question, jump on Blender's, if you're working with Blender, whatever software you're working with, there's gonna be a Discord server for it.
Okay.
There's gonna be a Stack Exchange for it. And jump on there and just type away what you're trying to do. And I do that every single day. I run into a problem and I'll be like, before I even try to tackle this by myself, I'm gonna toss this out into the ether and see what I can get back. And I'll work on it in the meantime. And then like 17, 18 hours later, some god will just come through and be like, you hit that button, big dog. And you're like, okay, awesome, thank you, fixed my problem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, definitely you have to have some kind of false confidence in the beginning to just be like, yes, I will get this done through hell or high water.
Yeah, it's been super insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Did he ask you like if you had any medical experience or anything, like any knowledge of that?
Yeah, I mean, doctor speak is very weird because I'll go to their office and like we'll watch procedures and I'll look at procedures. And they'll just be talking to me in doctor speak the whole time. And you're just like, yes, whatever you're saying, I totally understand. And then you leave it and you're like, I could have been staring at a blank wall.
Sure.
It's this, you try to retain as much as possible, but there's a lot, like you have to BS and act your way through it in the beginning. 10 years from now, if I'm still doing this kind of stuff, I might just be able to be like, yeah, I can do that easily. But now you have to say, yes. And then you go home and freak out for 7 hours.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how you've been able to do it with it.
Thank you. Yeah, so.
It's awesome. Let's give him a round of applause. It's excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Ben. That was great.
Pretty much did a complete overhaul on the map that we designed. We downloaded a much more detailed one. I added the water. That was something I added completely separately. The biggest highlight is that if I can get this to work. There.
You're launching the build. It could be cool for people to actually put the headset on too, to see, yeah.
We got it to work.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can move around in it actually.
Yeah. Doesn't run the best, but
Yeah, it's a little bit choppy just because we're running it through Unity.
Oh.
But we were trying to make a build, the computer crashed, so we're like, okay, it was not. So,
yeah.
proportions aren't really the best right now, but it's what we have.
Can somebody come up and try it on?
Yeah,
Well,
sure. If anyone
yeah.
wants to come up and try it on, mess around with
Ben,
it,
why don't you
fine.
go put the headset on?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just
'Cause-
don't expect anything good.
Yeah, well, I would love for you to, Jackson, to work with Ben at some point to get some of his 3D stuff in Unity.
Alright.
Sir.
Oh.
Yeah. Am I pulling the cord?
That's fine. Press continue. There you go. That should work.
Jackson, move that monitor so the cord isn't so stretched, yeah. Is it?
Is it working?
I'm still
Oh,
at like the stationary.
Oh shit, just press stationary.
Okay. Let's go back.
Yeah. It's,
Cool. Okay. Yep, I'm there. Can you see what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. So let's see. Nice.
Just quickly, how'd you get the river to flow through, like in terms of? Like,
there was a very specific texture
Yeah.
I downloaded.
I know, I was trying to implement one of them on
I
that.
keep
but-
getting like 7 errors a second. That's fun.
This is where collaboration is good. Even though we're doing individual projects, we should be helping each other too.
Yeah, there's nothing like in here right now. On the first one, we were trying to have something that you could interact with, but for some reason it just stopped working. So we'll probably re-implement that, like put more stuff in there once we get around to
Yeah.
doing that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So your primary, if you're presenting this, your primary mode of production has been functionality and getting things to
We just
function.
want to make sure it works.
Should go try
We
the
were
headset on.
having a lot of issues, especially last night. Last night it just wouldn't work at all for us. And
Uh-huh.
we like things-
Issue.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to criticize. I'm trying to encourage you, like when you talk about it, you've made a lot of progress.
Fine. Let me just
You could just
make sure.
switch around.
Let me just make sure this will still work.
If not, it's okay.
Okay.
So right now, you guys, they're mirroring it off of Unity. They're just doing like a screen mirror on it. How was it when you were in there?
Yeah, it was.
You were in there.
It was like VR.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's where you want your buildings to be, yeah.
Yeah, just stationary.
We need to fix that. Yeah. It's the left
joystick.
thumbstick.
Yeah, left thumbstick. They're doing like some other games, so you can like point and click, but you move around with joysticks in this.
Jackson, can you talk a little bit about the process that you went through laying out your level?
How should we explain
That's cool, we're looking up at the
You go on the
sky.
Unity Hub and you download the free assets.
But did you modify any of the assets?
I added like the river
The
wasn't there
river was the one
before.
thing
That
that was
was
not
new.
Okay,
But most of this is just mainly templates.
okay. What is the name of the template that you're using? Because it's like location scouting in the physical world.
Let's see.
You location scout it in the virtual world. You don't want to undermine your work.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which one was it? That was not it. That's right,
the
right,
kind of
right.
structure.
I'll find it eventually.
Elia, you want to go try it?
It's okay.
You don't? Why not?
I don't know.
No,
You don't like VR?
simple, low
No, I
poly
just get scared of
nature,
being
that was
motion
it.
sickness.
Oh, okay. Was it motion sicky?
I didn't know, but I only was on for like not too long.
Emma, are you going to give it a try?
Try it.
Yeah. So what did you think?
I thought it was cool. I think it would be cool if like it was like when I jumped in or when I walked into the river,
Yeah,
that
that's
it's
not
like,
very fun to do.
like I splash or something, and then there's like audio for that or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you have to get closer to the
Yeah.
So giving it more, a little bit ambiance, yep. So they basically primarily just focused on being able to get the level functional
Yeah, no,
and
that's
mirror
cool
it,
in
yeah.
itself.
So you did get feedback here. You wanna let them know what you're thinking?
Just like obviously this is you guys just kind of got this together, but and I'm sure you were already thinking of doing this, but like just some ambiance, you know, some
Oh, yeah, yeah.
effects. Exactly. I figured you guys are going in
Yeah,
that
this is
direction.
only, we just needed to figure out why we literally wouldn't work for us on you.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say this is cool. Just in general that you're able to hook up. This is Unity? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Just hooking up Unity in a way that you can connect it to like a headset is cool enough in my opinion because I've never experienced that, so.
Yeah, we're probably gonna like, instead of doing it, running it through Unity, we're probably just gonna like make a build. It's just,
Yeah.
when we tried to make the build, it just, the computer crashed on us, so we're like, let's do that a later date.
We need to use the PCs downtown. to
Yeah, I
do
was
that.
gonna say, I was like,
Yeah.
we need the.
The Alienware worked
I was
fine
gonna say,
over
yeah, 'cause this
downtown,
one-
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kind of was like, no, I don't wanna do it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even wanna try to do it on my computer, I'm afraid, I have a laptop too, and I'm like, I remember when I was using Unity last year, it struggled immensely when I made builds, even for WebGL,
I remember.
it struggled.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something else?
Yeah, I was gonna say with your like video game too, I know you guys are probably gonna do just like a normal little video game, but if you had time, like hooking it up to like a VR sense, if that's possible. Or
Yeah, that's, well, yeah, there's,
Yeah.
and go,
That's
I
what
have
they're
a-
creating a VR sanctuary for anxiety.
Oh no, that's sick. I was just saying with them like the shooting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, those guys. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Logan,
I
put
know
the headset on. Did you get it?
No, I'm okay. I just came back from working out. and I got
Okay,
here, so my
okay,
face
you're-
is
oh,
all,
okay, alright.
like, super greasy.
But I don't know. I was just like, because it reminded me of that kind of aspect. But that's cool. I like the. It was definitely like I see where you're going with like the calming in the river and I like that.
Yeah, we wanna try to like do different levels too, but that's gonna require like some scripting and UI stuff, and we haven't even dabbled into that, and I've been looking into it, and I'm like, great, I found a guide from 2019 of the 2019 Unity build, which is several years old at this point. I mean, it's a completely different interface, and I'm like, gotta keep looking. I'm
Well,
sure it's out there.
The principle that I've used before is you make separate scenes, and when you do the build, you select the multiple scenes, and then it basically you can have the duration of your scenes run, and it'll just like edit like from one scene to another. But if you want somebody to teleport directly, then you'll need the coding in there. So
Yeah,
we can
that's
try
what I'm
that
trying to
next
do.
week. Yeah. Emma, did you have any feedback for these guys?
I was going to ask if we could go over the mountains, but then you zoomed out and I saw that you
There's
couldn't.
nothing.
There's
about it. It's
nothing.
just
I like that it's just like all in one place, so it doesn't get too overwhelming
Yeah.
for the user.
Yeah, it's not really like, you're not supposed to like walk around all that much. I mean, you can, if you wanna walk around, you can walk around. But it's not like a whole VR open world map that we're trying to do. If we were trying to do that, we would need money and
Yeah.
like 5 years.
It's a proof of concept, and it's like you're going for an escape, a sanctuary, a place where you can put the headset on and be somewhere else. Did
It's
you?
awesome. I love how simple it is. And in the SS store when I was in there were like some animal packs and stuff too.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you guys
I-
are gonna
yeah.
throw them, I think it would be super cool.
Yeah, we might.
Maybe.
It'd really bring that setting to life, I think.
I think if we put animals in it, probably could, but ideally I would want to do something with them more, and that also requires scripting, because if I want to make a move, then I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that on there.
Yeah.
And I would have to make sure that they're rigged and actually have animations, otherwise if they don't have animations, then I have to go in and do that myself on Blender, and that's gonna take like another 5 hours,
Yeah.
so.
That's good. Thinking about time management, that's all part of production, yeah. So, good, great. So, any other comments for these guys? Ben, did you have anything specific, or just?
No, I mean, I like it. I like the concept. I think once you add in sound and ambiance, that'd be amazing, especially if you could get like a noise canceling headphone that you can
Oh,
just
yeah,
pop right over it.
These are noise canceling.
Yeah, so if you can get ambiance
It
and
does have a headphone jack, so
Yeah,
it's
they-
perfect.
there you go, and then you will feel like you're kind of just right in there. I've never done VR with noise canceling, but I have talked to people who have like just popped them on right over the top, and they're like, it does change how you're interacting and feeling, just because it totally closes you off to everything. So that would be interesting if you're going for like a
Definitely have to be
therapeutic.
careful if you have noise canceling headphones, so you're like walking around, you just
Yeah,
run into someone, or you might run into a table, and you're like,
yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, we definitely want to get that sound in there. Want to mess around with the ambience. I definitely want to mess around with the lighting more. There's a couple things I want to implement in it. Just haven't had time to do that. Yeah, I got back from like a long trip from California last week, so I'm tired. Still, it's Wednesday, and I'm like,
It's a big time change.
yeah, I'm still adjusting because I was in Pacific. Now I'm in EST, and I'm like, I look at the clock, and I'm like.
And we had the
It's 6
time
p.m.,
change
it's like
also,
3 p.m.
so you lost 5 hours.
I know.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of
Top of
sleep.
the, top of the daylight savings.
Yeah.